Okay, good morning or afternoon or whatever the time is, wherever you happen to be, wherever the body is, you happen to be here. Here is the pure being of the self we all are, which is prior to time and space, totally free of time and space. Take a moment to acknowledge and be settled into this pure awareness that we all are. See for yourself, there is no separate individual if you let go into this pure awareness of the one self, the pure being, the one I am. This was Moses' realization on Mount Sinai. I am that I am. Written in all capital letters in Exodus 3:14 in the Bible. The truth is that we're all this one I am before thought even occurs. This one I am is the thoughtless awareness of pure being. Just simply let go and relax in this pure being, this thoughtless, faceless, formless awareness that is the one reality, the true self of one and all. It is out of this true self, this one pure being, which is like an ocean of consciousness, that there arises the sense of individual being that identifies with the body and considers itself to be the body-mind living in time and space. But in truth, absolutely, this is not who we are. We are the one being, not the individual being that we take ourselves to be. And if we look at it closely, we can see that this identification with the body-mind and the history that goes with it is itself the cause of suffering, for it tends to see us as separate and divided from the source and different from all other beings. Thereby arises confusion, conflict, contradiction, chaos, ultimately, even war. Now let's just simply let go and withdraw the sense of individuality which is related to the body-mind, withdraw this sense of individuality back into the awareness, the one single awareness that in truth is universal awareness, prior to time and space, free of time and space, not at the effect of time and space. See it, feel it. Its nature is pure existence, pure consciousness. And when this is seen and realized, is pure bliss. Let go now into this pure bliss of the self. Now let's remain in the stillness and silence of this pure bliss of the self for the next few minutes. as we continue in the stillness and silence of the pure being of the one self that we all are. Let's consider these words of Sri Bhagavan Ramana Maharshi. They're in our daily messages for the past week, beginning with last Sunday's message, April 20th. This is Sri Bhagavan's words. Knowing the self, God is known. In fact, God is none other than self. Of course, for those of you that are new to the call, Bhagavan Ramana is speaking of the true self, which is prior to time and space, that shines through the mind, living in time and space. The true self is none other than God. Monday's message, there is only one state, and that is consciousness or awareness or existence. Here Sri Bhagavan is speaking from the highest truth. The true nature of the being that we all are is existence, consciousness, and when this existence consciousness is realized, that realization is the awakening to bliss, the true nature of this being that we all are. Tuesday's message. Only when the ever-present consciousness is realized will it be permanent. Basically, Sri Bhagavan is saying that a glimpse of this pure being that we are, which happens often with all of us on occasion, it happens in dreamless sleep, that there is no body-mind identification. But we cannot have it as a full awakening in dreamless sleep, for we come back into the waking state in which we identify with the body-mind and ego. If sleep was actually it, we would all be enlightened, wouldn't we? Especially some during meditation. Okay, Wednesday's message. When one's own true nature is known, then there is being without beginning and end. Unbroken awareness. It is unbroken awareness. It is bliss. And Thursday's message, the one unalterable reality is being. Until you realize that state of pure being, you should pursue the inquiry. That is the process of asking oneself, directing oneself to the source, asking, who is having this or that experience? When it is asked of oneself, of course, the answer is me. It's happening to me. Now, the process is to direct attention back to where does this me take rise? From whence is this sense of me? What is this I? that appears in time and space, identified with the body and the mind. Are we in truth the body? We have a body, but are we the body? Where is the body during dreamless sleep, when there is no identification with it? We can be very much upset, maybe even in physical pain. A soldier in combat could be seriously wounded and have no medical attention, no anesthetic. But if we go to sleep, there's no pain, no suffering. Inquire into this, investigate in this. Why? Because in dreamless sleep there is no mind. The body is a product of mind. When there's no mind, there is no body. There's awareness. When we awaken, we say, I slept well. Awareness was there. How do we know we were sleeping well? But there's no body. To see this, know this. Inquire, who is this I? What is this I? From whence is this I? Follow this sense of I. Back, inward, to see from whence does it arise. And it will disappear, leaving only the pure awareness of the self. This pure awareness of the self that we are was not born. It's prior to time and space, prior to this world. And it will not die. This is who we are and have always been. This is our infinite and eternal being. Closer than breathing and nearer than hands and feet. This is the self we all are. That's the end of the daily reading. This week I did write something. I think that the topic this week is kind of timely. We have a program going, have had this past week, of participants in our intensive self-inquiry training. And so often the topic comes up about, who are we? Who am I? Most of us take ourselves to be the ego or body-mind. So this week it came to me to write this article. And I've entitled it, This Thing Called Ego. Okay, here we go. Ego is the sense of I, or one's sense of self. The sense of being different, or being a separate individual self existing apart from all other individual selves, and from the very source of being, whatever one conceives that to be. What is also meant by the ego is one's self-image, or the image one has of him, her, self, usually including the aspect of oneself that needs or wants to stand out. A appear significant, so as to receive special attention, that which in most people wants to be seen or appear to be important. Of course, that leaves out all of us here, doesn't it?
Correct.
The dictionary defines ego as somebody's idea of his or her own importance or worth, usually of an appropriate level, meaning suitable for the occasion or circumstances. It also means the individual self, as distinct from the outside world and other selves. Other related definitions are an exaggerated sense of one's own importance and a feeling of superiority to other people. Therefore, ego may in fact be seen to be the state of being that includes the majority, if not all, of humanity. When deeply investigated into spiritually, however, ego is when your formless essence becomes identified with the form of your body-mind appearing in time and space, or this world. This means giving rise to the false sense of I as an individual entity or being, which is seen and felt as the false notion, I am this body. It is one's identification with name and form. In short, ego is the meditation of a separate self-identity and is actually the cause of all of mankind's suffering. Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth, when known, not believed, will make you free." That's John 8:32. The truth is, there is no separate individual self or entity anywhere or any when in the universe. We are all, in fact, the one supreme being playing the character role of the apparent entity we now take ourselves to be. Our true self is God. However, the majority of people in the world today are identified with the ego. Thus is seen a world comprised of many other egos. When we refer to ourselves, it is the I of the ego that we mean, not the true self that we all in truth are. We see ourselves and others by what we possess, by our financial status, or by our success, or accomplishments, or what we have or do. Thus, there is competitive rivalry for an important place in our local or larger communities or our field of endeavor to achieve prominence in the eyes of others. A big house or a fine car becomes important. This is a major factor in the development and sustaining of ego, starting at a very young age with a child and its toys. Little boys like playing with toy cars. When poor, it's wooden ones. But if affordable, it's mechanical ones. And bigger is better. Little girls like playing and dressing their dolls. With Barbie dolls, they can brush and change their hairstyles. It is easy to see this evolve into the compulsion for more, better, and different automobiles for the big boys to either show off their new Cadillac or Ferraris, or be a Richard Petty on the freeway, or to be their own mechanic. For the big girls, it is making regular visits to the boutiques and beauty shops, trying on and buying the latest fashions, and also wearing the current or, in some cases, outlandish hairdos. With both, it is maintaining or building the ego's self-image and its need to be seen and known, which is enhanced by feeling and looking important through flaunting, I should say, the sense of I by all one does and owns. Therefore, what one possesses or does has ego importance. One's work or profession, his standing is determines his standing in the world or place in life. We see people more by who and what they appear to be financially. If they're wealthy, middle class, or poor, or by who they marry, or by their behavior, or by what they attain, which says they are either successful or failures. Thus, material possessions and accomplishments have a great deal to do with how a person is received by peers, friends, or even strangers in society. It is not hard to see this makes profits in advertising and consumer sales, which results in increased consumerism, affects our economy, and even causes devastation to the earth and its natural resources. But really, get it. The ego is not who and what we are, not our true being, yet it is the primary cause of all problems in this world, including your problems. Ego is one's accumulation of concepts and recurring thoughts that have been incorrectly invested with the sense of self or the notion of I. It is the state when your true being, which is faceless, formless awareness, or pure I am, is taken to be your body-mind, and so limits you by its form appearing in time and space. This is what it means to be identified with the body-mind and the world of time and space. It is the meditation of a separate self-identity. This in itself is the one cause of all suffering. It is ego, or body-mind identification. The one way to freedom, peace, and joy, not themselves found in this world, is self-inquiry. By awakening to the formless reality or true self and remaining in it, as it, and thereafter living only from it. No other way works. Why? All other ways require the ego or the mind for their very practice, and bind you to the false illusion of this dream world. Escape now from this false illusion by practicing self-inquiry or prayer without ceasing, with every rising thought, belief, or concept. Ask, to whom is this occurring, until you finally awaken spiritually. Do this and forever be happy. The end of the reading. Now, as we remain in this quality of pure being, this awareness that we all are, which is prior to the mind, prior and free of all thought. Let's recognize, let's know again. Let's see this pure being that we are. As we abide in this awareness, as this awareness, seeing everything from this awareness, is it not easy to see that we have to think in order to be unhappy? That we have to think in order to have a problem? We can remain in this awareness as long as we choose. This is the one thing that is entirely our choice. Now, thought may happen, but let it. What difference does it make? That's not you. That's not who we are. Thought is not who we are. This awareness is who we are. When you're identified with the mind, just see it. Then you have to deal with everything that comes up, everything that triggers off, all of the conditioned patterns of your past, none of which is real. Past is not real. Past is only memory. The essence, the very being that we are, is the present instant. This moment is the only reality. Now, the mind can't live in this moment. Right now, this moment, it's not the mind that is seeing and knowing. It's the being that you are that is seeing and knowing. The mind can't live in this instant. It lives in the past or in the future. Right now, this moment, make the distinction. You are the awareness, you're not the mind. You have a mind, but you're not the mind. Likewise, you have a body, but you're not your body. Maybe by long association and habit, you may be taking yourself to be the body, but that's just an incorrect notion that you by habit have been identified with all these years. Where is your body in dreamless sleep? You do not cease existing in dreamless sleep, but your body does. Your mind does. A wounded soldier on a battlefield without any pain reliever. If he goes to sleep, he has no pain because he has no body while in dreamless sleep. But his existence does not cease. His being does not cease. His body-mind ceases. It's only in the waking state and the dream state that we are identified and know a body and are at the effect of the body that we know and are identified with. Just see this. This is the fact of the matter. It is true for all of us. And when Jesus said, "You will know the truth, and the truth will make you free," free of what? Free of body-mind identification. Free of this world and identification with it. free of identification with time and space. For we are infinite and eternal beings, not subject to time and space. We're only subject to them if we give thought to them and thereby identify with them. See this and know this directly, immediately, for yourself, and be free and be happy. Namaste.
Namaste.
Now, if anyone has any questions or anything you would like to share of your insight, or any event that has happened with you of significance that you would like to share with us, please do so. Your sharing is very beneficial to everyone else. In this quality, in this consciousness, we can all see and recognize that we're not two. We're all one. So what happens to one is of benefit to all. Insights of one is of benefit to all. So please, share what is occurring with you or what questions that you might have so that it can be of benefit to all of us. Those of you here in the room, if you have something that you would like to share or question, if you would, please come to the chair in the front and speak into the speaker so that everyone on the call will be able to also participate. Okay, anyone have anything?
This is Rob from Idaho, from Middleton, Idaho.
Rob.
And I'm just really learning self-inquiry. But on your website, you have that one meditation about the I, me, mine. And what's really been helpful to me during the week is I just catch myself in that I, me, mine state. And then I try to ask that question of, well, who is that I, me, mine, and kind of just watch it dissolve, and that has been very helpful to me.
Yes, Rob. Thank you for your sharing. It's very helpful to all of us. See how the habit is very strong to identify with the body, with the mind, with all the conditioned patterns of the mind, all of our past, all of our history, all of our likes and dislikes, which are nothing more than conditioned patterns, that's all. These are the mind. And this I, me, my, mine is the mind, living in time and space. It is the record of all of our experiences living in time and space. And all of these experiences of the past is what get triggered off by the current events happening in the present moment. As some event happens triggering off our own conditioned patterns, we say, I like that, or I don't like that. And then we react to it accordingly, and then further add to the conditioning and just pile conditioning on top of conditioning and reaction on top of reaction until we can end up in resentments, conflicts, and contradictions with our friends, neighbors, relatives, co-workers, employer, or whomever. Internal Revenue, or whomever. Do we see? And then here we are living in a self-made hell. We don't really have to worry about going to hell. When we recognize it, we've already created one and are living in it very well, here and now, in time and space. Okay, thank you, Rob, for your sharing. All right, anyone else? Incidentally, let's get to the positive side of this. If we stay in the inquiry, who is it that's having this reaction? Who has this problem? Ask yourself this question in the moment of there rising a sense of conflict, contradiction, confusion, chaos, differences of opinion. Who? Who's having it? The only answer is me, or I am having it. Now follow this sense of I back. See from whence this sense of I is occurring. See if you can locate a sense of I anywhere, in your mind or in your body. You will find that it does not have a location in your mind and in your body. It doesn't exist. But what does exist is the pure awareness of being that has no mind, prior to the mind, totally free of the mind. That means you exist prior to your mind, free of the mind. And if you live in this awareness, if you remain in this awareness that is prior to the mind and free of the mind, then tell me, in this awareness, what's the problem? You have none. You have to think of the problem. You have to make way for the thought of the problem to give rise and identify with the problem for there to be a problem. But if you remain in the awareness as the awareness, there is no problem in the awareness. There's freedom, peace, and the only true joy, which is the joy of the self, the true nature of the being that we really are. It's available immediately, directly and immediately, by practicing the inquiry and returning attention back to the source of attention itself. Remain in attention in the thoughtless, faceless, formless awareness that is the self. Again, thank you, Rob, for your question.
Thank you.
For your sharing. All right, anyone else?
Ramana, this is Steve Stacy.
Okay, Steve.
And over the years, I've seen Ramana Maharshi's picture, hundreds of times. And it was a nice picture and inspiring, for what it represented, for what he represented. But other than that, the experience was flat. And this last week, I happened to be looking at a picture of Aruna Chala and Ramana's picture superimposed on it. And I noticed there was an experience of silence that of some kind that filled my awareness. It was subtle, but it was distinctly different from all the other 1,000 times that I had looked at his picture. And my question is, does that have any significances to, for instance, that indicate that this is a path for me, or was that just an accidental arising of silence in the awareness?
What do you think, Steve?
Well, I suppose there's some connection there.
Who did it happen to, Steve?
Who did it happen to?
Yes.
To me.
So it was your experience, huh?
Yes.
Well, wasn't it significant in the moment?
Yes, it was significant. Although I had this experience in the presence of another individual at one time.
Well, let me put it to you this way. Bhagavan Ramana is not an individual. He may appear to be. He was when he was in the body. His picture might appear to be an individual. But it so happens that Bhagavan Ramana was an awakened being that was not identified at all with his body, not whatsoever identified with the world in time and space. He knew that it was here. He was not avoiding it. He certainly recognized it for what it is, which we all are capable also of recognizing and knowing. And Arunachala, which is just what? Seemingly just a mountain. Well, there are mountains, and there are mountains. In the region of Arunachala, if you were on the high up or whatever, you don't even have to be high up. You can look off in a distance in the vicinity of Arunachala and see mountains all around. But they are not like Arunachala. Bhagavan Ramana likened Arunachala to the center of the universe. It is written up in the Puranas, sacred writings of South India, that the sacred writings are themselves, the Puranas are thousands of years old, and in the Puranas, they're written up about Arunachala, where it says in the Puranas, since ancient times, Arunachala has been here. Now, we're talking about ancient writings talking about ancient times. How ancient is ancient? Arunachala is a very special place on this planet. And when you go to Arunachala, if you are just a devotee of God, and walk up on the hill in an attitude of beatitude, of being, in the beatitude of openness, surrender, your mind will just stop. And you can just abide in the peace and tranquility of the pure being of the self. Am I right or Amarilla?
You're right.
You're right. Those are facts. So when you saw the picture of Arunachala with the face of Bhagavan imposed, you might say that which came first, the chicken or the egg? No? Bhagavan is a manifestation of Arunachala. the divine expression of God. Hindus call Arunachala the manifestation of Shiva. Shiva is the refolding aspect of the triune Godhead. Brahma, the creator, Vishnu, the sustainer, and Shiva, the destroyer. So what happens when you consider Arunachala is it destroys the ego, the sense of separateness, leaving only the pure awareness of being. Now that's a fact for anyone who aligns themselves with it. It's happened to thousands. And a few million even come to Arunachala on regular occasions throughout the year. You can't stir the people with a stick on a full moon night as the people circumambulate Arunachala. It's called pradakshina. If you try to get across the road that people are walking down, it will take you 2 miles to cross the road, to get from one side of the road to the other, and the road is only about 14 feet wide, or 15 feet, maybe wider than that. I guess wider than that. 30 feet wide. But to get across 30 feet will take you 2 miles, because there's so many people and they're moving as just breast to breast and shoulder to shoulder. So to get across the road, it would probably take you maybe an hour or longer. And that's people coming, paying homage. Bhagavan says, circumambulation of Arunachala will wipe away your karma. Try it. You'll like it.
Okay.
Thank you for your question, Steve.
Yes.
Okay, it looks like I've used up most of our time, and I apologize for that. But be here next week and we can continue. All right, stay in this awareness and be happy. Namaste.
Namaste.